Hi and welcome. On today's video, I want to talk to you about why you shouldn't care what other people think. And the answer, it's very simple actually, is because they're not thinking about you. I know it's shocking, but the problem I see with people who care too much about others people's opinion is that we seem to overestimate the amount of space we actually take up in others people's lives. And honestly, most people are just thinking about themselves. People walk around the world, living their lives and worried about themselves mostly. Like just to take yourself, for example. Are you constantly thinking about other people? Are you constantly worrying about other people's decisions or other people's achievements or shortcomings? Are you really? So if you self examine for a little bit, you realize that this is probably what's going on with everybody else. Okay. We are so focused in ourselves and our own lives. And that's okay. That's a natural way of living. And that should help us go against that thought that people are thinking about what I'm doing. Okay. I know you're probably worried about your parents, right? In my experience, I always struggled with what my parents thought of me. Okay. With what my family thought, my friends. When you're younger, you're a little bit more insecure, and we are human beings. We have insecurity, etched into our DNA. But you're trying to survive, you're trying to be accepted, you're trying to be loved, and that's completely understandable that at a young age, you don't really know how to navigate these expectations because people do have expectations about us, about what we're going to do, who we're going to become, and so on and so forth. And that's okay. We also have expectations regarding our parents, right? However, I think everyone gets to a point in their lives that they need to make decisions for themselves. And they need to have, we need, right? Let's talk about you and I. We need to make decisions for ourselves. And we also need to be brave and to be courageous and do things that our parents would not expect us to do. Okay. I've done many decisions in my life alone. I decided on switching degrees. I decided on moving from my hometown. I decided to leave my parents' house. All of those decisions I've made, during all of them, from deciding to actually taking action, I struggled with the concept of what will my parents think? Like it was the only thing giving me anxiety because I had it all figured out. I had a job, I had money, I had the plans laid out, the opportunities were there and ready for me to take, but I would spiral and go insanely anxious over the thought that what will my parents think? Do they think I'm crazy? Because I changed my life a lot during my 20s. I was really brave. I took a lot of opportunities. I moved out of my hometown to a big city and I switched careers. I'm about to do it again. So it's like, it's worth it. Okay, guys. But imagine if I were like such a scared person, so scared of what my parents would think, of what other people would think, or if they would be angry at me. I had people be angry at me, especially when I decided to go to England. Some people in my family didn't like it at all, and they were very vocal about it. And I cried, and it was painful, and I was disappointed. But yeah, I went to England anyway. I had a great time. It was a life changing experience. Like I'm moving towards a much more exciting new chapter in my life at 29 because I took action, because I made a decision. In spite of what other people think, even when the worst case scenario happened of someone coming up to me and saying to my face that they were not satisfied or happy for me, for my decisions, even when things, because I think that's the worst possible case scenario, right? Your parents turning and say, I'm so disappointed at you, or your friends making fun of you, right? In my experience, that never happened. Okay. All the times that I was scared that people were going to say something mean about my decisions, about who I am, about what I want, no one did. So we suffer more in the mind than in reality. Okay. We struggle more with hypothetical situations than the real ones, because the real ones are usually much more simple than the ones that our anxious brain creates. So, and even when things comes to worse, like even in the worst case scenario where I was hurt, I was crying and I was upset because of the things I've heard, either way, I moved on and I did what I was going to do anyway, and I don't regret it because I knew what I had to do. We have to be authentic to ourselves. We need to be loyal to our own visions of life in spite of what other people think. One thing that I also think it's important to take into consideration if we're talking about parents' relationship is that we are living in a different world than our parents did when they were young. Every new generation of people is experiencing a different planet. We're all experiencing life for the first time, and that's why we need to learn to be kind to each other. But besides experiencing life for the first time, we're also experiencing it in a different world, in a different reality, with different opportunities and different concepts of what is a good life. So if our parents taught that we should like go to college, get a job, get a house, get kids, that's because in at their time that was the concept of a good life and the concept of freedom and the concept of what is to be a good citizen and whatever. But now these concepts have been challenged by new generations, and we are walking to a new area of new concepts of what is happiness and what is success for people. And being able to sort of like manufacture your own life. Everyone has this sort of freedom, but the knowledge and the awakening for that is been happening over time. You know, people were mostly worried about surviving like 50, 60 years ago, right? If you look back in history, there were like wars in the last century, and we're having wars now. But I don't want to go into that social historical aspect of existence. But this is the point I'm trying to make. There's the difference between the kind of life our parents had to lead and the kind of life we are leading now. And we need to learn to manage expectations in both ways, both our parents and both us, about what we can achieve, how much we can actually do for ourselves, right? And how much they can actually expect us to do. But at the end of the day, I just want to say that if you are allowing other people's opinion to stop you from living your life, that's a very risky thing to do. Because one thing that really motivates me is understanding that I only have this opportunity. Okay. I'm not sure on where I stand on afterlife and religions and all sort of things. But even if I do get to live again, I will not be the same person. I will not be the same me. I will not experience the same desires and you know things that I want to do. I won't be able to do them the same way. I won't be the same person. I won't have the same flash and family and so we only have this life. Let's settle on that. We only have this life. We only have this opportunity to make things happen. And why am I gonna waste it worrying about other people's opinion? Why am I gonna give a single second of my life worried about what someone else thinks? Especially, guys, if you are independent. Okay, if you pay your own bills, if you have your job, if you do your thing, you shouldn't give a single ass shit word. Sorry, I was trying not to curse. But you shouldn't give a single shit about what people think because you're battling life on your own. You're doing your own thing. You know, you're independent. You make your dreams come true without any help from other people. What like this is the most difficult thing to do. People should be applauding you just for doing that. Just for being able to survive on your own. Okay? So take that. And also take the fact that people don't really care. Okay? They might think about you in the moment. They might have an opinion that they won't even voice it out. You can see that a lot when you're in big cities or at parties and places with like crowds, right? Crowds are a great way to prove that because you can do anything in a crowd. You can be silly, goofy, ridiculous. And when you go to a concert, for example, right, you can sing at the top of your lungs and you feel comfortable being yourself and expressing yourself in the middle of a bunch of people, right? Thousands of people. And why is that? Because first of all, those people don't even know you. They don't even know who you are. And and they look at you for a split second, and then they look away and they already forgot what you were doing. They thought that was funny, or that it was silly or ridiculous if they gave you a nasty look. Well, that's on them, because tomorrow they will wake up and they won't even remember about the girl that was, dropped her drink on her dress or something like that. So every embarrassing situation you ever been through, trust me, you're probably the only person that thinks about it. You're probably the only person that remembers it. Oh, I have so many. I'm not gonna tell this on the internet though. But I've embarrassed myself in front of people so many times in so many different contexts that I could write like books about it. But anyway, it's just, I'm just trying to tell you guys, there's no point in worrying about what other people think. Okay, it's a waste of time, a waste of energy. I would say, like, unless it's someone you really like, well, then if it's a person you really trust and you really like, then it's okay to, like, worry about their opinion. But usually those people are the ones that accept us as we are and love us the most. So you really shouldn't worry. Okay? Be yourselves, do your own thing, follow your dreams. Because these things are already hard enough for you to also worry about what someone else might or might not think about you. Okay? All right. Stay beautiful. I'll see you next time. Bye.